Game show has been sponsored by Miller Lite, proud sponsor of NFL Lineman of the Year. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Games looking for the big upset.
The University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas, as the 6th-ranked Duke Blue Devils have come to town for the first time ever to take on the Kansas Jayhawks. And it's been a Kansas team that has erupted for an 18-6 lead. They have hit 9 of their first 11 shots from the field. Danny Manning has led the way. Bert Lundquist along with Tommy Heinsohn. Tommy, Duke is going to play man-to-man. They threw the man-to-man at Kansas. Manning has destroyed it early on.
You know, all the scouting reports say Duke plays man-to-man 100%, but just the sheer explosiveness and the emotion of this game here, Manning has produced the inside play. Great basketball by him. Danny Ferry has not been able to handle him so much so far. He's got 8 points, I believe, and most of them in the low post.
18-6 is our score right now. Watch Danny Manning early on. A little bit of a showcase game for Manning today.
Yes, and here's the alley-oop and a great leaping ability of a 6'10 player against Danny Ferry, who's also 6'10 but does not have that good lift in his feet.
Duke fell behind early on 14-3. Then Danny Ferry hit a basket, was fouled and connected on the free throw to make it 14-6. But Milt Newton and that man, Danny Manning, have led the way. 8 points for Manning so far. Milt Newton has gotten 6. And it's an 18-6 Kansas lead. The Jayhawks going after their 6th consecutive win, and they lead it by 12.
And Duke has not really been able to get their offense going.
Turnover, Duke.
They've been throwing the ball away with plays like that. They have not been able to get any offensive rebounds on missed shots. And that's something that Kansas worked on all week, controlling their defensive glass. And it looks like it's producing results early here in this ball game.
Now Manning at 6'10 brings it up court, gives it off to Kevin Pritchard. We'll set the rest of the lineup. That's Chris Piper, number 24. Bounce pass. Manning tries to save it. It goes out of bounds. Let's set the Kansas lineup. You see Manning, Milt Newton, number 21, Gelder, Pritchard, and Chris Piper. And for Duke, the man with the basketball right now is Quinn Snyder. He is joined by Danny Ferry, who sets the pick left side. John Smith off the bench. That ball batted back. It'll be Duke's ball. And Greg Kubek has also come off the bench early on now for Duke. So we've got Snyder, Phil Henderson also off the bench. Mike Krzyzewski goes to his bench early.
He's looking for a hot hand because nobody on the starting crew for Duke has been able to find the hoop.
This is Snyder. Entry pass. John Smith. Over Manning. Too strong. Ferry pumps twice. Will go to the line. You saw the Duke record of 19-3. Kansas comes in 17-8. They have, however, won their last 5 in a row, including a big win on the road at Kansas State the other night.
Kansas has been bedraggled by all kinds of physical and academic problems, and they've had to change their style, play with smaller people, upgrade roles of players from the bench to starters, and they're finally starting to gel, so watch out for this ball club coming down the stretch.
Keith Harris into the ball now for Kansas, first substitute, and Danny Ferry, who hits 85% of the free throws, on the line for 2.
He is such a key player, Danny Ferry. Watching, he's almost as versatile as Danny Manning is, but he just doesn't have the same quickness.
Both the meetings, as you saw, came during the 85-86 season. The first Duke win came in the championship of the NIT Big Apple tournament. The second win came in the NCAA Final Four semifinal. 18-8 now.
Pritchard is working against one of the real tough one-on-one defenders, Billy King, in the entire realm of college basketball.
Nice pass, Keith Harris. Offensive foul.
One of the things that you've got to do against a real good man-to-man denied defense is backdoor. Cut to the basket. There's the good cut. But the weak side of the Duke defense right in there in time to pick up the charge situation. That's great team defense.
Larry Brown goes to his bench again. Pittsburgh defeated Georgetown 70-65. Many of you saw that. That game called with 4 seconds left because of a fight that broke out. And Arizona defeats UCLA in overtime by 2 at Pauley Pavilion. Chris Normore, Jr. out of Wichita, Kansas, into the lineup now. And Chris Piper comes back in. Milton Newton goes to the bench for Kansas.
Piper came in to give him that additional rebounding. They started to lose that defensive glass the last couple of chips up the court. And Normore is in there to get all over people in the back court.
Now Greg Kubek, number 22, freshman from Clifton Park, New York. Ferry has Piper guarding him. Henderson over Normore, short. Ferry rebound. Taken away by Normore.
The guards of Kansas are getting back down and rebounding defensively and helping out.
And again, Danny Manning out at the point. Bounce pass, foul.
There's another great backdoor cut. And I think the best part of Danny Manning's game is his passing ability to create good offense for his teammates. And they have not been able to use him in that role this year. They've had to get most of the scoring from this man.
Timeout.
College basketball. Today's game between the Duke Blue Devils and the Kansas Jayhawks is sponsored by Pontiac Grand Prix, the Motor Trend Car of the Year. Bud Light, everything else is just alike. And by today's Howard Johnson, we're changing a lot of minds.
Kansas Jayhawks have hit 9 of their first 11 shots, and they've gotten great passing out of Danny Manning early on.
Well, as I said, that's one of the great parts of his game. There's a little backdoor cut on the top of your screen, but Manning reacts beautifully to it, fakes the ball inside, and Henderson makes a bad play for Duke. But look at the lone defender, Snyder, come from the weak side, the bottom man, the help defender. That is great team defense, great offense by Manning.
10-point Kansas lead. Inbound pass, Keith Harris loses it. And it's tipped away by Phil Henderson. The Jayhawks playing here in Allen Fieldhouse. Only 4 losses in the last 5 years. They had a 55-game home streak eradicated by Kansas State earlier this year. Henderson taken away. Kevin Pritchard. Chris Normore. Normore, a former basketball and football player at Wichita State, transferred to Kansas and has 2 years of basketball eligibility left. Manning misses his second shot.
And played him to move to the right. Manning didn't adjust.
Tempo of the game, Tommy, has settled down a little bit now from that torrid opening 6 minutes.
Well, Duke really wants to run. They have not been able to do so. Kansas really wanted to slow it down a little bit, but the emotion of this game really has helped Kansas get this early lead.
Battle for the ball. Manning saves it. Ferry gets it. Entry pass. Abdelnaby. Abdelnaby short with the ball. Possession will go toward Duke as the head ball, first of the game. We're live at Allen Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Kansas in Lawrence. Vern Lundquist along with Tommy Heinsohn. The 17-8 Kansas Jayhawks jumped off to an 18-6 lead in the first 6 minutes of the game, and they lead by 10 right now.
They played as well as I think they can play during that stretch. Now they're starting to cool off a little bit, but their defense maybe getting a little active. And good defensive rebounding by Harris.
Now Harris gives it off to Kevin Pritchard. There's Piper cutting to the basket.
When Danny Manning moves out of the pivot, and Ferry comes out with him because he has to respect Manning's ability now. Leaves Cutters wide open for layups.
A 12-point Kansas lead again.
Here's the part that's been causing them a lot of trouble down in Kansas. Defensive rebounding. Fighting for good position. There's 4 white jerseys down there trying to angle people out. And here comes Piper. Normally you don't see Cutters go through as easily as that. Great pass, but when you play denied defense, you are very susceptible to those backdoor reverse cuts.
Robert Brickey back into the lineup for the Duke Blue Devils. And a substitution now. Mike Masucci, a 6'9 freshman, comes in for the Kansas Jayhawks.
There's a kid that got projected into a role. Perhaps he didn't want to, Larry Brown didn't want him to have his freshman year, but he had to play a lot of time. Had a concussion.
Billy King takes the shot, not good. His third miss of the first half. King, a defensive specialist. And Harris gets it tipped out of bounds. It'll be Kansas to inbound.
The only way you can really stop Duke from playing that denied defense is get a few layups off those reverse cuts. If you start trying to make the pass directly to the ball to your teammate, they're liable to pick off a lot. So you got to have some good passes with some good judgment as to when to make the direct pass.
Clint Normore goes left side. Keith Harris. Masucci looks for the cutter underneath. Harris lays it off. Pritchard.
That was a great play by Harris to feel the defender, Billy King, come up, and then to make that cute lay-down pass.
A 14-point Kansas lead against the 6th-ranked team in the country. Off-balance shot, Ferry. Pritchard rebound.
Defensive rebounding, great now. The guards of Kansas getting into the act.
It's been such a problem for this Jayhawk team. Back it goes to Clint Normore, number 4. Set the lineup for you now as they slow down the pace. Normore and Harris join Manning, Masucci, and Pritchard. Offensive foul.
Here's the last Kansas basket. Great pass by Minucci to the cutter going through. And there's Billy King making the adjustment, and Harris just lays it down to Strickland. You can't ask for a better adjustment in passing than that from a college player.
Duke, which normally hits at 51% per game, is hitting 13% now early on.
The man-to-man defense by Kansas is having its effect. I haven't seen Duke get one reasonably decent shot out of their offense yet.
And they look very unsettled right now.
This is not the way Duke likes to play. They have the passing game, lots of good picks, but it's not happening.
Lob pass underneath, Masucci. Danny Ferry, Danny Manning, the 2 key performers for each team, and there's a comparison coming into this afternoon's game. Manning almost 24 points per game. Now Jeff Geldner back into the lineup, number 33, and Masucci heads to the bench.
Well, they want Geldner in there because he's a very, very savvy sophomore, and Masucci is really only a freshman. They want as much experience in that lineup as possible against this tough Duke team.
Harris has it taken away. Foul on Billy King.
Keith Harris has been immense so far in this ball game. On the boards, good passes.
Keith Harris has been perplexing to his coach, Larry Brown. He's got some off-the-court problems. Wasn't going to class real often. We talked to Larry yesterday, and Harris did not play in the first semester. I said, was he having academic problems? He said, no, he was going to class. He was flunking Larry Brown basketball.
Now that's how tough Larry can be. Here's Masucci back in the lineup.
Kevin Pritchard. 22-8, 8:35 to go, first half. 14-point Kansas lead. Harris is fouled by Danny Ferry. We have talked about the expectations that Kansas had at the beginning of the year. Here are the members of the team they have lost. Joe Young to academics. Sean Alvarado redshirting along with Mark Randall this year. Archie Marshall, perhaps the key injury, returning from a year off because of a bad knee. And then they lost Marvin Branch to academics.
And that was what they counted on really making a great Kansas team. And all those people were big people.
In addition, Chris Piper's played all year with a severe groin pull. And Piper can only give him about 20 minutes a game. There's Ferry underneath. Nice pass. Harris again, Tommy. That time defensively.
He is doing it.
Lob pass.
This Kansas team is so emotionally up.
Manning tips it away. Duke ball.
And Duke is not really with it. They have not been ready, or have not been ready totally to accept this emotional challenge early.
Standing O for the folks in Kansas. Watch Danny Manning on Ferry.
Manning with his quick feet just gets right out there and chips away what should have been maybe a basket for the big guy, Ferry.
Joyner Kersey and many other track and field superstars compete in the Vitalis U.S. Olympic Invitational tomorrow on CBS Sports.
22-8 Kansas lead. as the Duke Blue Devils have gotten off to a 2 of 17 shooting start.
You know, Mike Krzyzewski, I think, ought to have his own place in the sun. He's been really thought of through the entire basketball world as a protege of Bobby Knight. And he's brought Bobby Knight's defense to the Duke campus, but he's also really become, I think, a better offensive coach. He's been willing to use speed a lot more than Bobby Knight's ever been willing to use.
Mike Krzyzewski now in his 8th season. In the last 5 years, he has won the second highest number of games in the country. Duke, though, is really in a drought. 5-16 without a basket.
Well, they've got to play some good defense now. I'd stop a little bit of this deny and just try and stay in front of my man and help on Manning if possible. But the real problem is getting your offense started. Somebody to get a hot hand.
Ferry, high post, has it taken away. That is the 8th turnover of the first half for the Blue Devils. Back to Harris, touch pass. Clint Normore will go back to Pritchard. Nice pump fake. Puts it up, no good.
That's as nice as you can run a fast break and come up empty.
Another Duke basket won't go. And an offensive foul. The Duke Blue Devils 19-3 coming in, making their first visit to Allen Fieldhouse. They've now hit 2 of 18 to start the game. Larry Brown's team 11 of 18 from the field as they go in search of their 6th consecutive victory, and they have a 22-8 lead.
And they're running their offense, Kansas, against maybe the best defense in the entire country, in my opinion. And they're running it like a hot knife through butter. It's been totally easy to get the ball where they wanted it to go.
Normore gets the first free throw for himself at the line. He's only shot 6 this year. That was his 7th.
And I doubt whether he'd be in this lineup right now, except that they need a really tough guy with a little experience, taking his junior age and saying, well, he hasn't played a super amount. We need his experience.
Henderson. Another shot won't fall.
No offensive putbacks by the Duke Blue Devils.
Ferry tries the three-pointer and gets it.
Now, that's his game. He's an exceptional outside shooter. In fact, he's tried to patent himself a little bit like Larry Bird. I don't know if he's gotten that far, of course, but he can sure hit that outside shot like Bird.
Ferry has 8 of the 11 Duke points. And there's a Snyder steal away from Kevin Pritchard. He'll have a chance for a three-pointer.
And that's the type of play that really can ignite a basketball team. Good defense. He just took the ball right away from the man. Here's the last Duke basket. Little double pick, a stagger pick that knocks off Ferry's man. It gives him enough time to get that outside shot off. And Mike Krzyzewski's saying, we've got to find a guy that at least can hit a couple of hoops in a row to get our rhythm and our offense in gear.
Now Quinn Snyder out of Mercer Island, Washington at the line. Three-point play for Snyder that cuts the lead to 23-14. Normore, Manning. Oh, dandy defensive play.
Absolutely fantastic defensive play. Kansas beat the press. They got it right into the middle, and Manning had nothing but wide open space. Look at Manning, and there is Strickland. He's supposed to be a guard, right? A shot blocker. He did it.
23-14, 6:25 to go first half. They work the perimeter now, Kansas.
Duke in a zone now.
Keith Harris, that's for 2. Rebound.
And that's the weakness of Kansas, the outside shooting. Sometimes it gets erratic, and they can't get the ball into Manning.
Henderson, they're chipping away. And the lead is now at 7, 23-16. A quick Duke run has got them back in it.
A 2-3 zone by Duke. That is really unusual. They're trying to make sure that ball does not get into Danny Manning.
Manning. Rebound Duke. Kansas Kansas has gotten goal. Ferry off the glass. Good block. Ferry follows. Snyder follows.
Beautiful play as Duke Blue Devils really streaked up the court. Some good defense there by Kansas, too, but lost the rebound to a guard.
10-point run for Duke now.
Well, they've seen this type of thing before, Duke. The ACC is not an easy conference to play on the road, and they've been very successful in that conference. They're 4-0 on the road in the ACC.
Kansas is now 3 seconds away from a 5-minute drought of its own. 5 minutes since Kansas scored.
Now, that 2-3 zone will surround Manning, so it'll be difficult for Kansas to get the ball to him, and some of these outside people will have to score from outside like that. And they have not been shooting well from outside. Here's a little defense going on by Danny Manning when they're still playing a man, trying to be physical. Danny Manning trying to get out in front, and yet there's another man that comes over to help out. Ferry up on top just a little bit too late, but Manning, who's a 60% shooter, a little off target.
Until today, Tommy, only one team had gone man-to-man against Danny Manning in Kansas. That was Iowa State. Manning responded with 39 points in that game.
Well, he is such a creative player. He's got all the skills, Danny Manning, outside, inside. So they're using him at the center spot, and they put him inside. When the defense collapses on him, you just take away how many times he's going to be able to handle the ball. Because the more he handles the ball, the more he's going to score. It's as simple as that.
Variety of substitutions for the Kansas Jayhawks. Scooter Berry comes into the lineup, number 10. Mike Masucci, 44, back in. And Milt Newton comes back in the lineup. In the meantime, Robert Brickey gets the first basket.
Now, he's a kid that beat John Smith out of the starting lineup early in the year. And the reason being is because perhaps he was a better rebounder, a bigger banger, to give him some offensive rebounding. And he's starting to come into his own right now.
Manning with the rebound. 23-19. What had been a 15-point lead is down to 4. Alley-oop, Masucci. One shot, Manning with a steal. Back to Scooter Berry. Taken away by Danny Ferry. That is the 8th Kansas turnover. Brickey all the way and in. And it's 23-21.
That was a super play by the Duke players. Ferry just took it away from Manning with his quick hands. And then Brickey really outfoxed the entire Kansas defense that was left there to protect against the fast break.
And the Jayhawk drought is about to reach 6 minutes. It has right now. Pritchard. Don't fall. Manning rebound. Fouled. Will the basket count? Yes.
Danny Manning is so great in the rebound department, too. And he's showing you that he's got a lot of hustle. He just picked that one off in traffic and put it back up after taking a hard blow.
Now they're wiping off the basket and saying it does not count.
It looked to me he got hit after the rebound and well before the shot.
Gets the first of the 1-and-1.
Ferry just sneaks inside. A little pick on Ferry that allows Manning to get inside. And I don't know, that was close. This guy might be another Magic Johnson. He's got that type of creative ability. Depends on what position he might play in the field.
And he can play just about any. Small forward, point guard maybe. Off guard. We'll find out in a year. 3:53 to go before halftime, and Duke has climbed right back in this one with a 13-2 run in the last 5 minutes.
I think the big spark was that zone defense that Mike Krzyzewski came up with. That put a lot of pressure on the cutters. That didn't work anymore, those easy passes for layup, and they're being forced to shoot from outside Kansas, and they're not hitting. And they're not able to really get the ball to Danny Manning as much as they'd like.
Funny, Mike Krzyzewski and Larry Brown both dislike zone defenses immensely. And yet, when forced to, he went to it. Robert Strickland John Smith back in the lineup for Duke. Danny Ferry getting arrested, his second foul. Ferry out at the 3:34 mark. King, nice speed. Doesn't get the roll. Off Scooter Berry, it'll be Duke's ball.
Big play by that man, Bricky, to take it inside against two bigger defenders. That looked like that ball should have gone in.
25-21 from the corner for three. Right to John Smith.
Scooter Berry, a guard, trying to help out on the defensive glass, just was losing his balance and had to let it happen.
Largest lead of the first half was 15, 23-8. Duke has not led. They were tied once at 2-2. Scooter Berry, Masucci, and now Danny Manning patrolling the baseline. They get it to him in the corner. All of a sudden, he's gotten the cold hand. That's 4 misses in a row now for Danny Manning. And a chance to tie or go on top. Quinn Snyder, John Smith, Kevin Strickland with the rebound.
As the defensive rebounding again, Kansas having those problems.
Offensive foul on Robert Bricky. Elsewhere in college basketball this afternoon, Arizona went into overtime to defeat UCLA. North Carolina edges Maryland. They've got Temple tomorrow at home. Georgetown falls to Pitt in a game that was stopped with 4 seconds remaining because a fight broke out on the court, and the officials called the game.
That was a brawl.
Yes. 25-23 in this one. This is a Duke team that has been averaging better than 80 points per game, and they've got only 23 now, close to first half. Masucci with the tip.
Good effort. As a kid that can really start to get this Duke team back into it with some outside shooting. Pull the Kansas defense out so they can slip it inside to Bricky, to Ferry when he gets back in the game. Strickland has not been able to hit from out there. And here's a kid that's got to do it for Pritchett for Kansas from the outside.
That doesn't go. Pritchett was the hero of the win over, one of the heroes, the win over Kansas State. His three-pointer at the end of the game provided the victory margin.
Last year he was the 2 guard. And Turgeon was, the graduator, was the point guard. So he could really lay some outside shots on people. Shot something like 61% from the 3-point range. Now he's down around 23% because he's had to become the point guard. It's more responsibility. It's a little confusing for a sophomore.
That ball stripped. You saw the graphic. Kansas, 1 of its last 14. Duke started 2 of 18 in the game. Excellent feed to John Smith.
Well, they hit the trailers. When that ball goes to the wingman sure is looking for people cutting to the hoop.
We are tied 27-all with 43 seconds to go in the half. What had been a 15-point Kansas lead has gone night-night.
Well, 2-3 zone has had its effect. Manning out on the wing now, hoping to get him the ball against Bricky.
Manning will shoot the free throw. Crowd wanted a technical foul called because of a bounce of the basketball by Duke player, but
well, Bricky ended up with a much larger player down, in essence, what was the low post. And he laid some body on Manning. There's Bricky on the defense, and now ends up, tries to slip underneath, and now foul against Manning. That's what happens when Manning moves out to the wing position and not in the middle of the offense. He can end up shooting or getting little people down along the baseline, and that's how they're going to try to get Manning back into this game.
Now Lincoln Minor, junior college transfer out of Midland Junior College in his first year at Kansas, comes into the game, and Milt Newton heads to the bench, number 21. Normore is back in. Scooter Berry at the guards. Danny Manning at the line. Rattles it around and out.
Kansas has truly only had one offensive option most of the season. Nobody's been able to assert themselves. They had hoped Strickland might be able to do that, and all these other big players went down. But so teams have been able to concentrate on stopping him or minimizing him, putting pressure on the other players to produce, and they just haven't because they're inexperienced.
Kansas back on top by 1. Loose ball. Duke has it. Minor steals it. End of the half. And Kansas, which once led by 15, finds itself on top by just 1. We'll be back right after this.
This game is sponsored by the heartbeat of America, today Chevrolet. Coors, the original draft beer in bottles and cans. Coors, the original. And by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Halftime at Allen Fieldhouse on the campus of the University of Kansas. The Jayhawks lead it by 1, and we'll be back right after this message. Kansas leads by 1, 28-27. Danny Manning leads all Jayhawk scores with 13 points, but the rest of the starters have gotten 14.
Well, one of the things Duke had to do was minimize Manning. They're starting to do it and try and shut out the others, and it looks like they're succeeding there, too. So Duke very much back in this ballgame after that very quick first half start by Kansas.
Duke hitting 30% in the first half. They actually hit 2 of their first 18 shots, but 8 of their last 15 to improve that average.
Now they're starting to get their fast break going. That zone defense they're using is allowing them to rebound misses and then convert into fast break hoops.
Now Duke opens with a man-to-man again to start the second half, and it was a switch to the zone that helped them in the first half.
Well, maybe they'll catch them by surprise. I'm sure that Larry Brown in the locker room expected zone because it was that successful.
On the line, Kansas ball. It'll be Ferry against Manning. That's a little surprising, Tommy, because they were down by 15. They went to the zone defense, climb back in, and now here they are back in a man-to-man.
Just a little change, hoping to catch Kansas by surprise. But I would think that they're well schooled right now, Kansas, in breaking a man-to-man, getting the ball to Manning just like that.
Manning will go to the line after making the basket.
You've got to keep the ball out of Manning's hands. He's very creative. He can dribble the ball. He can pass the ball. Here's Ferry now off a little pick. Gets enough room. Manning on the rush just takes it strong to the hoop. You can't help out on a man-to-man as quickly as you can against the zone. You can deny the ball to Manning a lot more with a zone defense than you can with man-to-man.
A quick three for Danny Manning. He's got 16 and a 4-point Kansas lead. At 31-27.
Kansas starts man-to-man.
Let's check the Duke lineup now. They've got Strickland, Bricky, Ferry, Snyder, and King. Starting 5 in there. Robert Bricky, he'll shoot a couple.
Looks like Duke is going to come out of their locker room and say, let's take it to Manning. Let's make him play some defense here. Maybe pick up some fouls. That's one of the big worries that Larry Brown's had all season long. Manning getting in foul trouble.
Jeff Gildner got that foul, and that's his 4th. So quickly, Scooter Berry comes in, and Gildner goes to the bench. At the line, Robert Bricky. It was 20-8 in the first half when Mike Krzyzewski switched from his man-to-man to his zone. 20-8 at that point, and the halftime score was 28-27 Kansas.
Duke will have to climb back in it again, control the offensive glass, get some good offensive rebound baskets on all those misses that they were making.
Blue Devils show a press and then retreat. Kevin Pritchard comes across the timeline. Manning kicks to the outside. Chris Piper gets the ball here. Milt Newton. Manning over the top. That's his 2nd foul in the ball game.
What a good block out by Danny Ferry. You see Ferry now to the right of your screen. He's going to pick him up on his back. Manning knows that the ball's going to go up. And there's Ferry just spreading wide, good base, and then pushes back so that Manning cannot get involved in the action.
Quinn Snyder kicks it back to Danny Ferry, who had a quiet 2 of 7 in the first half. Leading scorer for Duke. He looks for the ball. Now the man-to-man Piper is on Ferry. Ferry over Piper, hits it.
He freed up his shooting hand on the baseline, and Piper did not get that quick enough.
31-30. Pritchard back to Scooter Berry. Manning has it taken away. Kevin Strickland. And a chance for Duke to take the lead for the first time. Too strong from Berry. Bricky, nice pump, nice block, and a chance for a three-pointer.
What a play by Bricky. Super play. There's Bricky. There's a fast break, and they use the trailer. They let the initial part of the offense happen, and Ferry in the trailer spot takes the outside shot. But Bricky right there, it's blocked. He comes down quick enough, and what a super quick leap to create that foul situation on Manning.
Larry Brown wants to know why there wasn't a held ball called. Don't know that we pointed it out, but these are Atlantic Coast Conference officials in this intersection of games. ACC group working the game. Brown said he liked it that way, indicating he wasn't thrilled with the Big 8 officials. Alley-oop. Oh, great touch.
Ferry is having difficulty knowing where the ball is. That's how he's getting beat for those lob passes. Plus the fact that Manning just has a super or a much better leaping ability. Here's the alley-oop. You look at Ferry on the top of Danny Manning. Manning pointing. That's where I want the ball. And there's the lob as Manning lost his concentration on where the ball is. Now you watch Ferry's face, not knowing where the ball is, and it's too late with the good leaping ability of Manning.
That's Ferry's third foul. Krzyzewski does not make a move to the bench. So Geldner with 4, Ferry with 3, Newton is playing with 3. Here's Piper. Kansas ball. Elsewhere in NCAA basketball this afternoon, UNLV with a huge lead. Iowa leading Minnesota in the second half by 11, and Oklahoma early over New Mexico by 6. Our score 33-32, 17-17 to go. In the third meeting ever between Duke and Kansas.
Bricky now is guarding Manning.
They got Manning with a push-off.
That was kind of a tough call, as Manning really had great position on a much smaller Bricky. There's Bricky trying to get up on top, and Manning now just the least little offensive move with his arm. I don't know. There's a lot of push there by Manning, but nonetheless, nevertheless, as a coach, you learn to say, nevertheless.
33-32. Manning playing with 3, Ferry playing with 3. Those of you who joined this game, Kansas jumped off to a 15-point first half lead. Duke trailed by 1 at the half.
And Kansas is in a zone right now, trying to protect Danny Manning. How they came out of it.
That tip is good. Robert Bricky.
Scooter Barry had great position for the defensive rebound, but somebody came right over the top of him.
Duke stays in the man. They look underneath for the cutter. It was Manning, and the ball's taken away. Quinn Snyder. Back to Ferry. Thinks about the three-pointer. Nice bounce pass. And Bricky is short with a shot. Scramble for the loose ball, Ferry.
Well, that Bricky is something on the inside. He's got good hang time, but he just barely hits the floor and gets back up again. But Ferry was right there to pick up that loose one and put it back in.
Largest Duke lead of the game. They went on top for the first time in the game. 18 minutes remaining. Manning again. Piper with the follow good.
Ferry made a mistake that time. He let Piper slide by. I want to Mike Krzyzewski's problems is the weak side of the defense taking off on fast breaks and not blocking out. That was classic that time by Ferry.
1 point. Duke lead, 36-35. Skip pass, tipped out of bounds. Clint Normore, and John Smith getting ready to come into the game. There is Clint Normore. Scooter Berry will go out. 20 remaining. Duke on top by 1. Tommy Heinsohn.
And the story so far is the offensive rebounding ability of Duke starting to take over and really show the weakness of Kansas. There's Bricky right in between 3 white jerseys, but with that quick leap and the good finger movement, tip it in. Bricky gets the ball inside now, and he puts it up against Manning, and look how quickly he goes back and gets it. Now they do knock it out of his hands, but Ferry right there with another offensive rebound to put it back in. And you'll see this stat. Kansas defensive rebounds 18 to Duke's offensive rebounds 13. That's much too close a margin for Kansas.
Duke has Ferry and Snyder along with Billy King, John Smith back in the lineup, and Kevin Strickland. Kansas has Milt Newton along with Chris Piper. Snyder, there's Strickland for 3.
He is the guy. If he starts to heat up from the outside, that will totally diversify the Duke offense.
And it's a 4-point Duke lead, largest of the game for the Blue Devils. Clint Normore, number 4. Manning. John Smith guarding him now. Off balance shot, too strong. Hit too strong. Rebound. Strickland. Then Snyder. Another offensive board, but this time, yes, it will be Duke ball. Coming up later this afternoon, Tommy Heinsohn and I will select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevy donates a $1,000 scholarship to the general scholarship fund of each school. How about the pass?
That was a super pass by Snyder. Slipped right by 2 defenders.
6-point Duke lead.
Manning being guarded by John Smith now. And they're having trouble just putting the ball in Manning's hands, even though there's a man-to-man defense going on.
Billy King and Smith double down on Danny Manning. See that? King makes his move the minute he got the ball. The tip is good.
And the Duke defender did not get down there quick enough to block Newton off the offensive glass. So both teams giving up points on the weak side rebound.
41-37, 13:45 to go. In this third meeting ever between Duke and Kansas, 2 of the proud basketball programs in the country. Manning behind the back. 2-on-2 off Ferry, out of bounds, Kansas ball.
Well, you see the ability of Danny Manning that time, just to dribble a ball at 6'10" with that size to make those very delicate moves. Now you're going to see up the other end of the court, good defense by Kansas. Manning picks it up, starts to try and read the defense. Beautiful behind the back. And now just try to pass the ball through a man. Not quite with it, but he will be with it in that regard when he becomes a pro. Guaranteed.
This is a Kansas timeout. 13:30 remaining.
Here's some good Duke defense in helping to stop Manning, even though it's man-on-man. This man over here will come over along the baseline and seal him as he tries to make his move to the baseline. But in doing so, he leaves a man open. And right now, the Duke defender is supposed to come down into this area and block this man off from the rebound. He doesn't get there quick enough, and Milt Newton makes him pay. That guard, when that type of defense happens, has to rotate down quickly and block off a bigger play.
Kevin Pritchard for 2, and the lead is down to 2. That's 6 points for Pritchard. He and Manning, the only starters for Kansas who average in double figures.
Now they're searching for a real other offensive weapon, and Pritchard has been so much involved with the point guard situation that it hurt his shooting.
Bill Henderson.
He can stick him.
He's a young man who had to go on the inactive list because of academics second semester last year. That shot short. Basket good.
Good ball movement right through the entire Duke defense. They swung the ball through the middle.
43-41, 12-30 to go in the ball game. Basket good.
Smith is really a key on this ball club. He has come off the bench and many times this season, giving them some defensive help and particularly some offensive help. He's got lots of experience.
Oh, dandy pass, and Viper will shoot a couple. Sellout crowd at hand here at Lawrence, Kansas for the Allen Fieldhouse. Better than 15,500. Kansas jumped off to a 23-8 lead. They now trail by 4. Duke 45-41. Ferry with 12 points for Duke. Danny Manning with 18 for Kansas. And the offensive rebounds in the second half, Duke leads it 5-2.
I'll tell you, that's where this game is going to be won, in my opinion. And Duke has been able to outdistance them in that department in this second half. This kid really, Chris Piper, would have been a great player this year, I think, had it not been for that injury. It has to be a frustrating experience for him. The fans were actually booing him after he was trying to push himself to get back to 100% form.
Danny Ferry getting a rest with 3 fouls, 12 points. He has hit 4 out of 10 so far. Back to 2-point margin.
Full court man-to-man press going on by Kansas.
Snyder has moved to the off guard now, and there's a foul on the far side. Bench scoring has been a big factor in these 19 wins that Duke has accomplished so far, and they lead 12-1 today.
Well, it's not surprising to me because they've got some good offensive people on the bench at Duke. And what Kansas doesn't have that many good offensive people on the starting 5.
Quinn Snyder, three-pointer. He's hitting 44% from there for the year. And it's a 5-point margin now. Largest of the game. Turnover. Snyder for 2. The lead is 7.
Duke, when they gain possession of the ball, they will draw a length of the court pass. They get that ball up the court quickly with the pass.
Manning getting ready to come back in. So is Danny Ferry. Keith Harris seeing action for the first time in the second half. Had Normore open and doesn't get there with a pass.
That's one of the other problems Kansas has shown at times. Not all 5 of their players can pass the ball.
Normore. Foul, Duke. We're heading toward the NCAA tournament on CBS, and one more step in that involved process tomorrow as Indiana takes on Purdue. 1:30 Eastern Time. Brent Musburger, Billy Packer will be there at 1:30 Eastern Time at Purdue. Gene Katie's team playing very well.
The king of Indiana in that one, huh?
Duke defense have held Kansas to 42% overall, 14 turnovers, 19 points off the turnovers, and 7 steals. So that defense that was having problems early on has begun to assert itself.
Well, they have more or less taken away the game of Danny Manning. He is getting double teamed whenever he gets the ball. In the beginning of the game, he wasn't.
Manning back in. Milton Newton, or Robert Brickey on it. This is Newton with the ball. So 21 for Kansas. Newton, 3 points. Yes! They have been a horrible three-point shooting club this year.
But in the last week, they started to shoot a little bit better.
50-46. Kansas as a team hit 8 of 18 against Kansas State the other night. There's Ferry. Brickey with another rebound. Loses the ball.
When he gets it underneath, baby, it's going back up.
Geldner, Manning. The lead is 2 again. The timeout belongs to Duke. CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this word from your local station.
CBS Sports presents college basketball. Today's game is sponsored by AT&T, the right choice. And by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be.
Midway through the second half, 50-48. Tommy Heinsohn, let's go back to the telestrator.
We got one beautiful play right here. Danny Manning and Geldner will combine for how you defeat a good denied defense. You're going to see this man come over with his head and look to get in the passing lane. Manning is going to go like this, make a fake, and then cut, and the ball will come from this direction for a layup. Two good men with their head on the same page. Look at that fake now by Manning, and he loses his man, and there's Manning right in for the cram. Great pass by Geldner.
Danny Ferry will inbound for the Blue Devils of Duke. Leading by 2. 10:07 to go. Kansas ball.
Duke was trying to put the ball in Ferry's hands. He's been their go-to guy at crunch time to try and change momentum. They came out of the huddle trying to get him the ball. Didn't work.
Check the lineup now. Geldner, Newton, Piper, Manning, and Lincoln Minor is in the lineup for Kansas, number 11.
And Ferry's back defending against Manning in the 2-3 zone.
Duke has gone to the zone.
Ferry's going to end up with him underneath.
Piper with a foul.
Some other guys from Kansas have to step up, not just Danny Manning. Other starters have got 27, but Manning right now with that zone will have difficulty just handling the ball. Duke's got to get their offense back in gear.
Duke had the lead up to 7. Kansas cut it to within 2. Krzyzewski called timeout. Went back to the zone, which he used for the latter portion of the first half.
I'd say Piper's done a very creditable job on Danny Ferry.
Ferry hits that one. It's back to a 4-point edge.
Manning came over to help out, but Ferry very nicely pulled up and went right over the top of Manning.
Manning comes to a high post. Bricky and Ferry with primary responsibility on Manning now.
And they're fronting and backing Manning, so they can't even find the passing angles on him.
Minor solves the puzzle for the moment with a jump shot.
Well, when you back down and front and back a guy, somebody's got to get a wide open shot.
Long pass in the corner. That shot by Kubek won't go. Ferry with a follow no. Piper rebound. Ferry playing with 3 fouls, pulled his hands back. Danny Manning has the ball. Lincoln Minor. Manning will shoot 2. Take a look at the list of fouls. Geldner playing with 4. Manning, Newton, and Piper with 3 each. Ferry is playing with 3 for Duke.
And Duke has far more defensive players to go to than Kansas does. And offensive players, too. But coming into the game is this guy who might just put a little spark in. He can provide offense. Maybe not as good defense on Ferry as Piper was doing, but he can hit from outside and also rebound.
Manning with 9 rebounds to go with his 20 points today. Well, we've talked about speed today. You'll see some tomorrow. The Vitalis Olympic Invitational Track and Field meet, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Manning gets them both. We're tied at the 8-minute mark of the second half.
Harris is guarding Ferry.
Traveling.
There's Ferry trying to post up, but Manning rushes out on Bricky. There's the travel. 2 hops as the double team developed. He didn't know what to do with the ball.
Now Bricky fronting Manning. Stolen away, Snyder. Got away with a carry behind the back, out of bounds.
One of the things Mike Krzyzewski was afraid of and thought he had licked was Snyder's turnover ratio. He had it under control for the last month, but that was a bad one by Snyder.
52 all, 7:25 to go in the game. Back to a man-to-man now for Duke. Nope, they're still in the zone. Ferry, fourth foul.
Bricky is guarding Danny Manning, and Pritchard knows it, but watch it, Ferry just try and get over there. He looks like he's right on the ball, but that'll be number 4 on Danny Ferry.
In a sense, this is a showcase game for Danny Manning in large measure because of what happened the last time these two teams met. Manning was a sophomore in the Final Four semis, got in immediate foul trouble, played 23 minutes, and was held to only 4 points. That is his career low. And in large part because of that, Kansas wound up losing that game, 71-67.
The other thing is that Danny Manning, people are wondering, he's such a great player, why this team isn't unbeaten or close to it. And I think you'll see some of the reasons why. They can afford to gamble to stop Danny Manning.
Basket won't go. Here come the Jayhawks. Milt Newton feeds it. Great pass. And the shot doesn't go. Gelder.
Well, there's a perfect example. That should have been 2.
Long rebound. Kevin Strickland. It goes under the arms of Kevin Pritchard. Pushes the ball up. Back to Manning. Harris wasn't ready for the pass. Here's King. Getting a little holly-golly now.
Both teams blew what should have been easy fast break opportunities.
Larry Brown stomping his feet, saying, settle down, settle down.
It's Manning right now. They're going to try and get him the ball. Take him to the promised land.
Barry working on 4 fouls. Manning! Barry.
They waved the basket off on Ferry, however. Here's Manning. He's trying to fight him for the spot. A good passing angle down into Manning, and Ferry has to back up and not really leap, not really give him any trouble. Manning knew that. Easy hoop with a jump shot.
Last basket was waved off. Larry Brown calls Danny Manning over. They'll give him a rest. And he leaves with 26 points. Barry goes to the line where he's hit 3 of 3 today.
His dad used to be a great outside shooter when he played in the NBA. And Danny got the benefit of a lot of instruction from really a great coach who's now a great player. He's now a general manager of the Bullets.
Danny Ferry's dad, Bob, who's the general manager, and Danny Manning's father, Ed, played together in the NBA with the Baltimore Bullets, 68, 69, and part of 70. No. Duke rebound. Three-pointer. Chris Piper for Kansas.
Strickland is just shooting before he's sighting the basket.
Newton with the adjustment.
Kansas will take it to you if they can get that outlet off the rebound going.
Kansas with a 17-8 record might be considered by some to be on the bubble for the NCAA. How big would this win be? Bill Henderson for Duke. And it's a 2-point Kansas lead.
Kansas will have to search out somebody other than Manning to get a little offense right now. He's on the bench.
offensive foul.
Strickland with the outside shot, and he just about squares up, and the shot is away. But off it comes, and they do get the outlet pass. Pritchard, head up, finds the open man on the baseline, and strong finish by Milt Newton.
Andy Manning back in. That was the 4th foul on Milt Newton. 4:23 to go in the game. Barry. Manning.
Great move by Manning to help on what was otherwise going to be an easy hoop by Ferry. Manning quickly over on the double team, and it's swatted away.
Snyder goes left, pulls up with 3 men on him, and he will go to the free throw line. As the Kansas bench looks on with disbelief. That is the 5th foul on Milt Newton. Timeouts. Duke has 2, Kansas 3. No fouls to give for either team. And the possession arrow pointing in Duke's direction. Milt Newton has fouled out.
And they really don't have any other offense to speak of at that forward spot when he goes out. Harris has been very streaky coming in as a backup forward.
Newton leads with 15 points and 5 rebounds. Lincoln Minor takes his place. The junior from Houston, out of Midland Junior College.
That will probably move Geldner to the forward spot.
And in the meantime, Snyder goes to the line, shooting 2.
It's a pretty good foul shooting team, this Duke team.
Yes, they are. 72% as a team for the season. And Snyder gets them both here tied at 58.
Well, their main man is back in the ball game, Danny Manning. And Duke with the man-to-man.
Perry playing with 4 fouls, ball thrown away. Here's Kubek. Block. Lincoln Minor.
The freshman Kubek didn't protect the ball. He thought he had it all away, but his harassing defense, they'll come at you, and beautiful Kubek out-hustled his man, but forget about the man coming up behind him.
Time on the court, tied at 58. 3:53 remaining in the game. It has been a great day of basketball here on CBS, the home of the NCAA championship. Our second half of the doubleheader, we're tied. Duke and Kansas at 58 apiece, 3:53 to go. Duke has 2 timeouts left, Kansas 3. And among those in foul trouble, Danny Ferry playing with 4. King, Brickey, and Strickland for Duke with 3 apiece. Milt Newton has fouled out. Geldner, Manning, and Piper with 3 each.
Well, Duke and Kansas probably will go to their go-to people, Ferry and Manning. Only I think Manning will be able to produce inside better perhaps than Ferry will. As Manning can catch and drive to the hoop, and I don't think Ferry is as good an inside player as perhaps Manning is.
Ferry playing in the low post now comes outside. As they change this offense, there's Ferry. Got 2 more, he's got 18.
Well, Manning was a little cute that time. He knew the play was coming, but did not get there quick enough to really bat that shot away by Ferry.
Duke by 2. Snyder with the steal. That's 19 Kansas turnovers.
Their main man is Ferry, and there's Manning lurking behind to help.
Manning reaches out and bats it away.
Oh, he's got long arms. Just got right into that passing lane.
Lincoln Minor short with a shot.
And Ferry intimidated him.
Points off turnovers. Duke 23, Kansas 15.
And here's where the experience may pay off. I don't think the Kansas players are experienced as the Duke players coming down the stretch.
2:35 remaining in the game. Shot clock has 20 seconds remaining. it somehow. And then Manning gets it to Miner. Here we go for the tie. Timeout, Duke. Watch the save by Danny Ferry.
Well, that's a bad pass to Ferry. They're trying to get him the ball, but Piper made him really have to go out to get it and make the save. Here's the fast break as Henderson just threw the ball away a little advisedly, and it's an easy 2.
2:11 remaining. Tie 60-60. Kansas and Duke. And the Blue Devils call timeout. They have 1 left. Kansas with 3 remaining. Both teams are in the bonus, and the possession arrow still points to Duke.
Well, I think Duke has got 2 go-to players, Strickland and Ferry, while perhaps Kansas only has 1 in Danny Manning. But it'll revolve around the defenses each team is going to play coming down the stretch as to how well any of those big go-to guys are able to function. If you start double teaming any one of those guys, somebody else is going to have to come and make a shot.
Terry looks underneath. Shot clock at 20 again. Piper on Ferry. Clint Normore is in for Kansas. Shot clock at 8. Duke ball. And in college ball, that is a new 45 seconds on the clock. It was kicked out.
Well, that's a violation of kickball, so it has to change. But when they change the clock on block shots,
you get angry.
You don't get the benefit if you're playing great defense.
1:25 to go in the game right now.
But Piper is all over Ferry. They're having difficulty locating Ferry in a decent area to get him his shot.
Ferry tries to kick out. Piper stays with him. Shot clock again. There's a steal. Foul. Manning reaches over.
Well, the other inside option, obviously, is Bricky. And Manning has got such a height advantage and a wingspan advantage. But you're going to watch Piper right now go out and harass Danny Ferry. I mean, and they're running him off picks and everything else. And Piper really knows where the ball is. Ball man. That's good man-to-man defense. In the meantime, Manning had knocked the ball away from Bricky.
Bricky is a 69% free throw shooter. He's at the line shooting 1-1.
When you get down the end, pro teams love to go to the inside game, figuring they're either going to score or get fouled. And it looks like Mike Krzyzewski is doing the same thing. If it's not Ferry, it's going to be Bricky.
Rebound, Kevin Pritchard. Kansas ball. 1 minute to go. They've got Bricky on Danny Manning. Foul on Bricky.
What a defensive job. Bricky trying to stay with Manning to get into the passing lane, to front him. Don't let any of his passers see Manning get over the top of him. Manning very nicely hooking him a little bit. Bricky loses the idea where the ball is. And then the foul. That's moving your feet.
Danny Manning, a 73% free throw shooter, 8 of 9 today. And a chance to break the tie. No. Kansas ball, saved by Manning.
What a play by Manning.
Shot clock shows 36. Just about even. There's 1 second difference. Bricky still guards Manning. Kansas has 3 timeouts left. They take one of them. 20 seconds remaining at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence. We are tied at 60. Kansas with 2 timeouts left. Duke with 1. Watch the play by Danny Manning that allowed Kansas to have time to take the final shot, perhaps.
Well, he missed the free throw, and he's mad at himself, but he's going to hustle it all the way. Didn't hold his head down and sulk. Went out and did something about it. And there you see 19 seconds left on the shot clock, 20 in the game. Not going to be so easy for Kansas to inbound the ball against a real good man-to-man team. And there's not an awful lot of room on that sideline to step back and avoid, but
Manning gets it in to Kevin Pritchard.
done easily by Kansas.
Ferry goes back to guard Manning. 10 seconds to go.
It's going to be one-on-one with Ferry.
No. Timeout. 2 seconds remaining. Duke has the ball.
Well, they got the ball to the man they wanted, Danny Manning. But he's way outside, and great defense now. Second defender gets right in there to help and get on his shooting hand, as not enough of the Kansas players really cleared out to allow Manning to go one-on-one. And there's Larry Brown, who's been through this a million times. Wow.
Mike Krzyzewski looking on as Manning took the shot. Robert Brickey had come in to help Danny Ferry with the defensive job. As in the final 20 seconds, they went back to Ferry, playing with the 4 fouls, to be the defender on Danny Manning. Now, if you're Duke, what?
Well, Duke has got to obviously take a very quick shot from an outside shooter. I'd look for it either be Strickland or Ferry, but maybe they could really get Strickland a lot freer than they could Ferry at this particular point, because Piper has been really looking and denying and knowing that Ferry's coming to the ball.
Better than 15,000 on hand at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence. We are tied at 60 with 2 seconds to go. Duke and Kansas. Halftime margin was 1. Kansas has 2 timeouts left. Duke out of them, but we're only 2 seconds away from overtime.
You've got to take the ball out underneath the basket, so it's going to be Ferry that's going to take it out.
Now they'll get it out at midcourt. 1 second left.
5 defenders going to take 4 blue jerseys coming to the ball. It's Duke's ball, and Ferry will have to pick out a good open man. Ferry is looking for Strickland.
No time elapsed. Now they might just try the alley-oop.
Wouldn't be a bad idea against Pritchard.
Strickland is under the basket. He comes out. They look for Brickey on the alley-oop. Overtime. We've got some more basketball to play for you here on CBS. Back in Lawrence, Kansas, after this message. Pittsburgh, along with Arizona, UCLA, both terrific games to watch and enjoy. Now we've given you a third this afternoon as Duke and Kansas go to overtime, tied at 60. Milt Newton out for Kansas. Geldner playing with 4, along with Manning, and Piper has 3. And for Duke, Ferry with 4, Brickey, King, and Strickland with 3 each.
I think Duke could get along far better without Ferry than Kansas could get along without Manning. So it's important for Kansas that Manning watch himself in this stint. And Ferry, well, he can be a little aggressive, but they still do need his passing ability. I'm waiting for Kevin Strickland to really unleash in this game. This has not been one of his games. Duke has relied on him offensively. He's had some great games, but he hasn't had that touch today.
Matter of fact, Strickland is 1 of 9 shooting the ball. Brickey mistimed the leap. Kansas ball. Clint Normore Danny Ferry, Kevin Pritchard, Piper, and Geldner in the lineup.
Well, they're going to have Bricky guard Manning. Bricky did not get out and harass Manning the way Piper has been getting out and trying to harass Ferry.
Early Kansas lead, 62-60. Kansas.
Good trap and good anticipation of the pass out of the trap.
Now Bricky and Ferry both go after Danny Manning. It's Bricky on him in the man-for-man. But Ferry looks for it. Manning. Basket counts.
There's a Manning basket, and Bricky gets picked off a little bit. As soon as he races out, Manning takes the rush, goes right by him, and here's Manning on the catch, moves. Bricky trying to cut him off at the pass with the body. Manning knows when to pull up and when to use his speed and when to use his size. You know, that's probably the difference between a Manning and a Ralph Sampson, who had the same kind of attributes, size and quickness. Manning knows how to use both.
Danny Manning 5, Duke nothing in overtime. Manning has 31 for the game. And another rebound. Boy, the great ones take it over when the game is on the line, and he's doing it.
Rebounds, that's a key. Give the other team only one shot. Manning's trying to make sure that's going to happen.
He was ready for the backdoor alley-oop, but Geldner didn't see him. Now Geldner underneath. Rejected. Bricky. 3:42 to go. Ferry, nice feed. King.
There's a good look by Geldner. By Piper to Geldner inside, and Bricky right there. Boy, that's quick movement. That kid is fast. I mean, fast.
How fast is that?
That's very fast. Very fast.
Very fast. King, not a good free throw shooter. 47%.
Well, that's a strange foul shot. He bends his knees and never comes out of bending his knees. He never releases.
Gets 1 of 2. It's a 4-point Kansas lead. 3:35 to go in OT. Normal keeps the dribble. Kevin Pritchard.
That was a beautiful hoop by Pritchard. Read the defense, knew it was going to retreat, took the wide open shot.
Foul.
That's keeping the ball alive. Normore trips over himself, but has the presence of mind after being tackled to come up and try and go for the touchdown. Here's Pritchard. The defense retreats back. Pritchard read it perfectly. Knew he had the shot.
At the other end, Jeff Geldner.
He's been a very savvy player today for Kansas.
That's Doug Moe's son just to the left there, by the way, David Moe. Geldner out. With 5 fouls, joins Milt Newton on the bench. Danny Manning scored the first 5 points in overtime to give Kansas a 65-60 lead. Now Ferry hits 2 free throws, and it's a 4-point edge. 67-63, 3:05 to go.
Man-to-man pressure by King, trying to pick it out of the hands of Normore.
Perry playing with 4 fouls. They look for the backdoor cut.
And Bricky is now trying to get out and stay with Manning.
Foul on Quinn Snyder away from the ball. That's only his second.
Well, this is not the stage of the game that you should try and work the clock down. And Kansas, I'm sure, if they'd had a good shot, they would have taken it. But they were not able to get a good shot because Duke was playing some real harassing defense.
Kevin Pritchard goes to the line for the first time today. 8 points in the ball game. He's hitting 72% for the year. Snyder with a foul.
Well, this year with that point guard responsibility, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on a kid who maybe hasn't played that position a lot. The decision to pass or shoot the ball. When all you have to do is worry about shooting the ball, your stroke is a lot better, and you don't second-guess yourself as to when you're going to take them. You know that you're getting the ball to shoot it. And I think that this kid has been affected by that all season long.
Rebound Duke. 5-point Kansas lead, 2:44 to go. For three, Snyder nailed that.
Boy, that was some shot. On the catch, he was up and away.
68-66, 2:30 to go. Kevin Pritchard, I think, got the foul. Yes.
Well, it went the other way this time as Snyder got out in front of Pritchard as he was trying to make a cut to the hoop.
Billy King getting ready to come back in for Duke. Duke with one timeout left. Kansas with three. Both in the bonus, and the possession arrow still pointing Duke's way.
The way this game is going on, we'll have 4 overtimes.
Snyder back at the line. 3 of 3 today. And that 5-point Kansas lead in the opening stages of overtime about to disappear. No. Scooter Berry with a rebound.
Could have called a foul on Billy King that time.
Manning with King on him. Pritchard. Ferry with the block. A terrific defensive play by Danny Ferry.
Sure was, and Pritchard thought he had it, but Ferry was just waiting there for the release of the ball.
A chance for Duke to go back on top. Bill Henderson. King. Offensive foul. It's like a tournament game, Tom.
Here, inside comes King. Now he knows he's not going to get the shot off. He really should have taken it. That's because he doesn't feel he's an offensive player, and they've been trying to get King more involved in the offense so that he feels he's a two-way player, not just a defensive player.
Henderson goes to the bench, and Kevin Strickland comes in. 1:37 to go. Kansas by 1.
They really haven't been able to get the ball into the hands of Manning either.
Bricky is all over Manning. And King looks for him. Wants to double back and help out. Pritchard takes it short. Manning with the rebound. On the line, Duke ball.
Might have got nudged out of bounds. Who are they going to? Strickland has not been able to have the hot hand. Berry guarded very nicely by Piper.
Trapped by Berry. Billy King. Spin move. Air ball. Good.
Strickland's hustle play by Strickland,
Who was 1 of 9 until that shot. And Duke with the lead. Manning. Bricky again on it. And he fronts him. Foul on Ferry. That's 5.
Here comes Billy King into the defense. He tries to shoot it. It's way short, but Strickland had great position on Pritchard and then goes up strong before Manning can get in there and help out. Danny
Ferry fouls out with an even 20 points today. 8 rebounds.
It was not a typical Danny Ferry ball game, however, I don't think. He didn't hit that outside shot. Piper did a great job staying with him. And even though he sat on the bench a lot in foul trouble, I'd say 20 points for all the time he's played pretty good. I still don't think it's one of his better ball games.
Milt Newton is out. So is Jeff Geldner for Kansas. Ferry, the first man out now for Duke. And Chris Piper at the line, a 77% free throw shooter for the season. 2 of 2 today. And a chance, if he hits them both, for Kansas to go back on top.
Let's look in his eyes. I love to watch free throws' eyes. They didn't sight the basket. He was a little anxious to take that shot.
In regulation time, Manning missed the front end of a one-on-one. .25 seconds left. Foul, Normore, and Snyder goes to the free throw line. Checking those who are on the bench. Ferry for Duke, Newton and Geldner for Kansas. Bricky and King both have 4. Strickland 3. Manning is playing with 4 and Piper with 3.
I think Duke can handle losing a couple of their players where if Manning goes, bye-bye, because there's only 23 seconds left. But Snyder's got to make it happen right here. Well, I wish we could have looked into his eyes.
Danny Ferry urging him on. And just a point of reference, Kansas not a great three-point shooting team if they need it. They won't need it. Duke's got the ball with a 2-point lead. 1-1.
That's 5 on Danny Manning.
Manning leaves with 31 points, 12 rebounds.
Snyder's second free throw, long, great rebound by Bricky. And King gets it back to Snyder, all the way over to Smith, and Manning trying to make the hard steal, ends up fouling Smith.
Manning fouls out with those 31 points we mentioned. That is Mark Turgeon sitting to his left, and Danny today playing in his 135th game at Kansas. Breaks a record that was shared with Mark Turgeon until this afternoon.
Larry Brown says of this man, he is simply the best. Hard to quarrel with that.
John Smith gives Duke a 3-point edge.
Valuable 6th man, right?
Part-time starter earlier this year.
Look at his eyes, right on the hoop.
No doubt.
Well, you could tell. When those guys don't look at the basket, you know they're anxious.
Pritchard, no. Rebound, Snyder. Out of bounds, Kansas, no.
Just lost possession of it down the sideline.
Kansas calls timeout. 7 seconds to go, and Duke up by 4. Danny Manning scored the first 5 points of overtime quickly as Kansas jumped out by 65-60, but now they've been outscored 12-3 in the latter stages of the overtime.
And they're going to have to find an outside shooter, no doubt about that. And Strickland is the best at that. They've got him isolated in the corner. Or maybe a direct inbound pass to Strickland. Excuse me, Pritchard.
Kevin Pritchard in the corner. Inside it goes to Lincoln Minor. It's the basket, calls timeout with 2 seconds to go, 5 seconds to go. And a 2-point deficit now. Time has been called by Kansas. 5 seconds remaining at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. Both teams with 1 timeout left.
We're going to see Duke defending the three-point shot as Pritchard is in the corner. A man on the bottom of the offense just slips down the middle as all the Duke players were ready to go out and defend against the outside shot. And there's old Larry saying, like every coach, timeout as soon as they score.
Foul in the backcourt on Quinn Snyder. He'll shoot 1-and-1. Pritchard with a foul. 3 seconds remaining. Snyder in the game is 5 of 7.
And try to get him to the foul line. He's a good free throw shooter, particularly under pressure. And when that happens, you want to get the ball, of course, to your best free throw shooter. Therefore, don't let Billy King get it right now. Keep it in this guy's hands.
Free throws in overtime. Duke was 70%. Kansas, Chris Piper had a chance to put Kansas up, but missed the front end of a 1-and-1. And now Snyder shooting 1-and-1.
Let's watch his eyes, too. When they look at that basket and sight it, and you can tell whether they're nervous or not.
Well, John Smith sank them both, and Quinn Snyder sank them both. Now with 3 seconds to go, Duke up 74-70. Kansas has used its last timeout.
Well, they'll have to inbound the ball, get it the length of the court in 3 seconds and score 4 points. That's tough. The only way it can happen is they shoot a three-point play and get fouled in the attempt. I think Duke will be a little bit smarter than that.
You know, yesterday you and I, Tommy, were chatting with Mike Krzyzewski about the disadvantages in coming on the road, middle of the ACC regular season, playing a good team like Kansas at home. He kind of liked the idea because he was looking at it as a game that would prepare his team for the tournament.
And he also thought that perhaps playing a non-conference team that some weaknesses that the ACC hadn't thought of might also show up. And I have to say right now, I don't know if he came up with any weaknesses, but this game certainly getting his team ready for the tournament.
And on the other side of the ledger, Larry Brown said he looked upon this game as a learning experience for his kids because he thought Duke had better talent to put on the court right now, but if his team played well, he was going to be happy with that.
He just wants his team to have a lot of confidence coming down the stretch because they're all young players, and he thought this tough stretch of games might hurt the confidence of his Kansas players.
Kansas is 1 of 5 three-point plays today. They are not a good three-point shooting team, though, as Tom said, they have improved recently. That ball tipped out of bounds. Nothing moves on the clock. Our Chevrolet players of the game today, Robert Bricky.